Pickle, hit the air raid siren. Time for Monday morning fallout, of course. We overreact to the football
lovely Tuesday
weekend. It's Monday morning fallout. We do this once a year because Labor Day is always a thing. Monday morning fallout. Overreact to the football weekend. A lot to overreact to. Let's start with my 3 big thoughts. Thought number 1, weight class matters. And there were a number of ranked teams across the state of Texas that lost in week 2. And most especially, it was just absolute chaos and calamity and carnage in 3A Division 2. Just teams getting mollywopped. But that's an instance where you got to dive a little bit deeper. And you got to look at the matchups. And in a lot of ways, the games, if you're just looking at the classifications, held to chalk. I'll give you an example. One of the big games this week was Argyle and Pleasant Grove, right? Argyle beat Pleasant Grove. Argyle's the bigger school.
Yeah.
That's not the only reason they beat Pleasant Grove. I don't want to say that. I don't want to take anything away from Argyle. But they're the bigger school. You were at Pottsboro and Gunner.
Yes.
On Friday night.
And they were just bigger humans.
Pottsboro beat Gunner, right? Pottsboro, 3A Division 1. Gunner, 3A Division 2. Iowa Park beat Canadian. Big come-from-behind win for the Hawks. Great win for them. Iowa Park's a 4A team. Canadian's 3A team. Dangerfield lost. Dangerfield lost to Tatum. Now, Tatum's not an amazing 4A team, but they are bigger. And there's that. Where I really raise an eyebrow are teams that are punching up and winning. For example, I thought Refugio's win over George West was awful impressive.
Yeah, no doubt.
Not only is that a good 3A Division 2 team, it's a 3A Division 2 team, and Refugio's 2A Division 1 team. Punching up is a very hard thing to do. Just ask a lot of the teams across the state that tried it, right? Waco Conley punched up, came up short against Waco La Vega, right? That is the thing that I am most impressed with, is if you are able to punch up and win, that's impressive. But I also don't want to hold teams. For example, Belleville beat Cameron Yo, 4A over 3A. I also don't want to punish teams too much for taking on the challenge of teams that are bigger than them. So weight class matters. Thought number 2. College football is back. I had a weird experience with college football this weekend.
Of course you did.
I watched all 3 bits and pieces of all 3 of the games in Texas this week. SMU's win over Texas State. North Texas win over Houston Baptist. And UTEP's win over Stephen F. Austin. I watched bits and pieces of all 3 of them. And for one, it was a little bit odd, just the feel for all of the games, that they were played in front of significantly fewer fans, that the fanfare was a lot less. And furthermore, and maybe it was because of the news coming surrounding it, right? That, for example, TCU and SMU is getting postponed indefinitely because TCU's having an outbreak. Because Rice announced that they are going to delay their practices until the end of September. Right? Maybe it's all the things around the game, but I had a hard time getting engaged. I had a hard time sitting down and being like, college football is back. And that's the thing. I realize I'm the weird one here. I realize that my experience is the strange one. But that was how I was feeling watching college football. Now, it was fun to break down the plays and watch it and watch, one of them in particular, Texas State and SMU was interesting for most of the game. UTEP, Stephen F. Austin was interesting for most of the game. North Texas and Houston Baptist played. But it was kind of, there was that hesitation for me to jump whole hog into it. And I wonder why that is. I wonder if it's because there are significantly fewer teams playing right now.
Right.
I wonder if it's because it was kind of like a halfway week 1, almost like a third of the way week 1.
Right.
or if it's just because of all the noise around it. I don't know. For some reason, it was just an odd feeling watching college football this weekend. I'm sure it'll get better. Mm-hmm. I'm sure I'm gonna shake it. But for the first week, it was just a little bit strange.
I think for me, it was just the fact that, like you said, the halfway week one thing. Like I had texted my dad and was like, this college game day setup is so weird.
Oh man!
And he was like, I didn't even realize they were doing it this week. And I was like, I didn't either until I got the notification. Like I didn't even think about it, and it was just.
It was, and it's odd. And game day's going to go.
So
game day's going to start going on the road, but they're not going to have people there. Mm-hmm. And it's like,
yeah,
if a tree falls in the forest,
right. And I was like, the content wise, they did a really good job of covering everything and all of that. It felt like a news report. It's not the same.
It just felt weird.
It was sad.
It just felt weird. I don't know. And I know that we're all getting used to the new normal or whatever, but it was just odd. It's just odd. That's just how I felt. And thought number 3, a different kind of week. We're looking forward now to week 3 of the Texas high school football season. It's a different kind of week for the big schools, 6A and 5A. They can start practices this week. So obviously that's notable. They can actually go out there. I certainly wish them the best. If you look up and down the games, the biggest games across the state this week, what I would say is that whereas last week you had a couple of real big, no doubt heavy hitters as far as matchups are concerned, this week I think is deeper, but maybe not as top-heavy. Mm-hmm. I think that you've got games like Hamlin and Albany. Mm-hmm. Really, really interesting game. Probably not as big of a game as Pleasant Grove Argyle was, right? That's one thing. You look at a game like Lampasas and Wimberley. Mm-hmm. Another real quality game. Probably not up to that standard of oh my gosh, the must-see, the number 1 versus number 1, mm-hmm. right? But I also think that it's a deeper slate that I think that there's about 30 games that are real choice. Mm-hmm. Real choice. There's not that one game that's whoa, that's the game you've got to be at.
Yeah.
But there is that kind of depth instead that I think, and generally speaking, those are the weeks I tend to enjoy more because it's more. I'm a value shopper. Mm-hmm. I want as much compelling football as possible, and so this week I think is tailor made for that. Last week was a lot more star studded. It was big time matchups all across the state. Gunter, Pottsboro, right? This one is a little bit more.
These are the ones that are going to it's going to sneak up on you too. Mm-hmm. There's going to be overtime games and stuff like that people were like, "Oh, that ended up being a really good game."
3 helmet stickers. A helmet sticker for Corpus Christi Calallen running back Jeremiah Earls. Ran for 317 yards and 3 touchdowns in their big win over Jourdanton. Big bounce-back win. That was a fun game, back and forth between those two teams. A high-scoring affair between them. Calallen's running back Jeremiah Earls gets a helmet sticker. A helmet sticker for UTEP running back Dion Hankins.
The Miners.
113 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground in their big come-from-behind win over Stephen F. Austin. I'll mention this when we get to Campus Crawl. Every time they do something besides hand the ball to Dion Hankins is a mistake. Just keep feeding him.
Feed him.
Dion Hankins is awesome. Continue to give Dion Hankins the ball. And a helmet sticker for Wink athlete Brock Gibson. I think this is Coach Gibson's son. I don't know. In any case, here is the most perfectly 2A line of all time. Mm-hmm. 6 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown receiving. 13 tackles, a tackle for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble return. He kicked 3 PATs. He blocked a PAT, and he blocked a punt.
I love small school football.
That's a night.
I love
Have yourself a night, Brock Gibson. He gets a helmet sticker here on Monday Morning Follow-Up. 3 teams to worry about. Let's worry a little bit about Alto. Mm-hmm. Alto got kind of hammered last week by Timpson, 48-6. I don't really know what happened, but I know they fell behind 27-0 at halftime and couldn't dig out of it. They only had under 150 yards or just over 150 yards total offense. A little worried about Alto now. Alto, I believe, are they 0-2? They are 0-2. Troop and Timpson, they've scored 6 points all year. A little worried about Alto. A little worried about Rice. I know they didn't play, but there was the report that came out that they are now going to delay their start of practices until the end of September. Because of they say that the rate of transmission of COVID-19 on campus is relatively low, but in the city of Houston, it's still pretty high. And so they're being extra precautious. I'm going to speculate wildly here. Mm-hmm. That's what I do. Speculate wildly. I have had some doubts over the past couple of weeks that Rice is going to play. Mm-hmm. I've had some doubts. Conference USA has already had one team opt out in Old Dominion. I am a little bit worried that they're going to play. Maybe it's just a confluence of a bunch of things that they like. That the Houston Rice game, the Bayou Bucket has still been they haven't set a date on that. Mm-hmm. They canceled that game with Lamar. Now Lamar ended up not playing, but and now this. I don't know, and I don't have any sort of inside information. I have heard it bandied about that there are doubts as to whether or not they're playing, and I'm starting to wonder myself.
I was thinking if they were starting play at the end of September, that would be a little bit different, but not even starting practice like that.
Their first game, I think now I don't know, I don't have the press release right in front of me, but I know they're going to start practice basically the week of their first game.
Right, and
that makes me wonder, okay, if things don't get significantly better, are they just going to say, you know what, we're done? Mm-hmm. That's just one thing. That's again, speculating wildly. I don't have any sort of inside information on that, but I do wonder. And let's worry about Geronimo Navarro. That was not a great debut for them. They lose their opener. And now, first and foremost, credit to Lavernia. Lavernia wins 28-19. But now they play Needville. Navarro, I want to see them get the wheels back on. I want to see I want to see them kind of get that offense grinding a little bit. But anyway, Navarro, I'm a little bit worried about Geronimo Navarro. 3 teams to watch. Poth. Ho! If you missed it, Poth clobbered Falls City 58-0 in the Polish Bowl. And I know, again, that's weight class matters. It's a 3A over 2A. Mm-hmm. I don't want to make too much of it. But that is the second largest margin of victory in that series ever. And we had Coach Jeff Luna on our show on Football Friday. And he was like, yeah, that felt really good. Poth has now, I think Poth is 2-0, and I think they've outscored opponents 120-7. Mm-hmm. They are clobbering people. Texas State.
Pretty impressive.
The Bobs. Okay.
The fighting Ishmael Johnson.
I think nobody necessarily expected them to go out there and win the game against SMU, but they were in it till the end.
Oh, yeah.
Very impressed. I think that they are moving forward. Now, look, there's some growing pains to be had with Brady McBride, and there's some concerns. They're not. I don't suddenly think they're going to win the Sun Belt, but I think they're not bad. I think there is a lot of reason for optimism for Texas State coming out of that loss, and Mount Vernon. Remember them? We're going to have some awkward conversations here, guys.
Yeah.
But Mount Vernon mollywopped Pittsburgh in a game that ended at halftime. I think it was 37-8 or 37-6 at halftime.
Yeah, it was.
And the game got called for weather, lightning, something. And watch out for Mount Vernon. They got a big game this week. It's Paul Pewitt. Mount Vernon, a team to watch. And that is Monday Morning Fallout.